Imagine that you are 14, mowing lawns to make a few bucks. Your dream is to have a successful company one day. Fast forward a few decades, and today your company is going public. You are about to sell a few percent of it, and in a single day, you will make more money than the average American household would earn in 8,000 years. Stephen Schwarzman did exactly that. Today, we're diving deep into Schwarzman's journey, breaking it down into 3 parts. His early years, how a teenager became obsessed with building an empire, the brutal deals and high-stakes risks he took to build a trillion-dollar corporation, and we are addressing the question of whether his company is the main cause of the housing crisis in the USA. Stephen's life is not a rags-to-riches story. He was born into an upper-middle-class family in Pennsylvania. His grandfather started a curtain store that his father continued, and everyone expected Steve to follow his footsteps. Initially, it seemed that way because he was working at the store frequently. But what everyone around him didn't notice was that Stephen didn't think that standing in the store and waiting for someone to come in and buy a curtain was a good use of his time. It felt beneath him.
But you told your father, according to the book, that maybe he should expand it, do more than one store, and maybe become Bed Bath & Beyond. What did he say to that advice?
He said, I don't want to do that either. I said, Dad, why don't you want to do this? And he said, I'm happy the way I am. I have a house, I have 2 cars, I have enough money to send you and your brothers to college, and that's really all I want.
But rather than giving away the idea of building an empire, Stephen pivoted. At the age of 14, he decided to start his own company. After knocking on a few doors and proving that people were interested in his service, he outsourced work to his brothers and shared the profits 50-50. At just 14, he had a strong understanding of how business works. Unfortunately, this venture didn't last long because Stephen went to Yale, even though it wasn't his first choice.
You did something that's quite audacious. You applied to Harvard, Yale, and I think Princeton, and Harvard did not accept you.
So of course, Stephen called the Harvard Dean of Admissions and asked to be taken off the wait list immediately. Despite his strong will, Harvard simply wasn't accepting any students from the wait list that year, so Stephen had to settle for Yale, where he also couldn't go through without challenging the system.
There was a rule that women were not allowed to sleep over in dorms, and you decided you were going to change that.
Yeah, apparently that had gone on for 278 years, and I was dating local girls, so I thought we needed a change.
As with everything else, Stephen was right, and the rule was changed. That move made him quite popular. It showed that he could do things that most people wouldn't even try because they seemed so impossible. That was one of the reasons why he was invited to a secret community at Yale called Skulls and Bones, a group that has produced many powerful figures in America. After Yale, he went to the Army for a short period and then finally to Harvard, which he later admitted that he hated but still managed to finish successfully. And that's exactly what got him lots of great job offers. And the one that he accepted did big part of shaping him into what he is today. Stephen landed at Lehman Brothers, one of the most prestigious investment banks in the world, but his life became miserable there. Every small mistake during those early years gave his higher-ups a reason to verbally bully him. Despite that, Schwarzman's rise was remarkably fast. At age 31, he already became managing director. In those years, he wasn't just learning how to close deals. He was learning how to lead, how to see opportunities before others, and how to thrive under pressure. But he wasn't satisfied with his success. Schwarzman wanted more. He didn't just want to rise through the ranks of someone else's company. He wanted to build his own. After Lehman Brothers sold to American Express, he did exactly that. He took a leap of faith and started Blackstone with Peter Peterson, his friend and mentor from Lehman Brothers. He knew it wouldn't be easy, and things were going to get pretty rough along the way. But still, both of them gave in $200,000 of their savings and made a plan.
And we came up with a good strategic plan to do advisory work to pay the rent, to go into the buyout business because it looked like a pretty easy way, frankly, to make money in the mid-'80s.
That was a very simple, straightforward plan, which doesn't mean that it was easy to execute. The first few months were very tough. Even though they had known lots of business owners, most of them didn't need advising. It made them start to doubt the plan. Maybe it looked better on paper than in real life. Still, they kept going, and every small win gave them momentum. In 2 years, the business was flourishing enough that they started raising money for the leveraged buyout business. But this was another challenge that made the advisory grind look easy by comparison. Because Stephen didn't want to raise $10 million or $100 million, he was aiming higher, at $1 billion. And nothing could have prepared him for the next 6 months. Stephen was pitching the same idea day after day, meeting with top investors, only to face cold rejection again and again. It felt hopeless. Then one day, during yet another meeting, something changed. He was pitching to Garnett Keith, one of the top investors in the country. Keith barely looked up from his tuna sandwich. He listened quietly, chewing, seemingly uninterested. Then, mid-bite, he looked up and said, "That sounds like a good idea. Put me down for $100 million. In that moment, Stephen knew it was real. That one, yes, unlocked the doors. With him on board, every other investor suddenly took him seriously. By the end of the round, they raised $960 million. Not bad for a guy who used to pack curtains for 10 cents an hour. From that point on, they didn't stop. Stephen and his team went into industries nobody was watching: funeral homes, garbage collection, things that weren't glamorous but were absolutely essential. They'd buy one company, improve it, and then quietly buy up all the competition. But the backlash came later. As Blackstone grew, people started noticing a pattern. Every time ordinary Americans were hurting, during recessions, foreclosures, or even the pandemic, Blackstone was making billions. And Stephen? He didn't flinch. But after watching hours of footage of Schwarzman on interviews, it's hard to imagine that a guy that talks and acts like him was the same person that laid off over 30,000 workers and is single-handedly one of the biggest reasons for housing crisis, and is also the same guy using his political influence trying to prevent government from fixing loopholes that allow private equity firms to pay less taxes. Lots of billionaires seem to be some of the most humble people, but do you think that they are different behind closed doors and when cameras are off? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the video so far. So now let's see, how is it possible that Blackstone is affecting the whole housing market if they just own around 0.02% of US homes? It's not about national scale, it's about concentration. In certain neighborhoods, they might already own 99 out of 100 homes. If the typical home in that area is worth $500,000, they'll happily overpay for that final one, even by $100,000. Why? Because once they buy that last house at $600,000, they can justify marking up the value of the other 99 homes they already own. That one expensive purchase sets a new market value, at least on paper. So even though they took a $100,000 hit on one house, the value of their entire portfolio in that neighborhood may go up by $10 million, and that 10% increase looks great to investors, even if they'd never actually sell those homes at that inflated price. On top of that, every year, inflation allows them to increase the rent. Looking at Blackstone as a company that has one goal, which is giving a good return on investment to their investors and making money themselves, they are doing a very good job. Stephen is obligated to do everything in his power to make that happen, not because he is evil, but because that's how the market works. And that's what he is rewarded for. Before we get to his luxury life, let's discuss his political influence. He advised and talked to politicians like Obama, Donald Trump, Angela Merkel, and Xi Jinping. Stephen is one phone call away from talking to any powerful figure in the world. But the most controversial thing that he gets a lot of public hate for is using everything in his power to protect the loophole that allows monetary benefits for private equity firms. Schwarzman himself became a symbol of Wall Street, giving interviews and talking on podcasts. But one thing he usually doesn't mention is his luxury life. His personal fortune soared past $35 billion, putting him among the world's richest people. He lives a lavish lifestyle like you would expect from someone at his level. His duplex apartment on Park Avenue, once owned by John D. Rockefeller Jr., is worth tens of millions. His Palm Beach estate famously used 7.4 million gallons of water in a single year, 68 times more than the average local household, just to keep its insane garden alive. He bought Miramar, a historic Gilded Age mansion in Newport, Rhode Island, for $27 million, later pouring millions more into its restoration. So, like him or hate him, Stephen has done some of the craziest business moves in history, and there is a lot that we can learn from him. And if you enjoyed watching this video, we think that you will love other videos on our channel, like the one on the left side of your screen, the story of Jim Simons, how he used math, code breaking, and science to crack the stock market and make billions. See you over there.